It is my singular honor to once again bring to your attention a compendium of events to tell the actual story of the 2016 elections in the form of a book titled 59 Dark Hours, a free speech campaign. It's actually not 59, it was 62. But you know, I wrote the first book, 59 Years to Nowhere, and I wanted a sequel, as Council Co. Esumai said. And that is how come 59 Dark Hours came to be. I had the urge to painstakingly document the details to depict how dirty the elections were. Elections 2016 were extremely dirty. We should never have to resort to such an unholy war anymore. Yet it was pathetically difficult to stand aloof and watch the disgraceful demeanor of supposed honorable men who made pronouncements in unfashionable dictum and lazy political outbursts. I, as an individual, me, will never allow that my party and beloved leaders be insulted and ridiculed. One day I told the president that I had wanted to reply to uncouth persons who were soiling us as a political powerhouse. His look was not that pleasant, actually. Although quite appreciative, you know, sometimes the president might look at you so passively, but inside of him, he appreciates the kind of passion that you have. So I felt so bad about the vilification of his person, especially. I left his office confused because he did not allow it. What was doing anyway? Because I could not tolerate the tragic insolence of NDC long-tongued mouths. But I was looking to legitimize what I was doing, sort of. The last straw to break the camel's back was the nauseating feature article in Steve Mallory's Africa Watch magazine. It was disgraceful. It was downright filthy and despicable. And of course, very, very false. It was a plot by the erstwhile John Mahama and his evil bandits to hit below the belt in order to gain better propulsion from the abyss that their electoral fortunes had descended to. But that was not to be. I had to fight back. I had to wage a war. I had to wage a war, folks. I had to do it for Nana Akufo-Addo. I had to do it for my beloved elders and leaders. I had to do it for you, my friends, brothers and sisters. I did it, ladies and gentlemen, and we won sweet victory. I went to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, then flag bearer, to inform him that I was going to step into the gutters to wage a literal attack to ward off the devil. I told him categorically that I was going to descend into the gutters, and after victory, inshallah, I would come out, take a good shower, adorn my best clothes, spray on my best perfume, and be ready to make Ghana great again. He looked passively as I walked out of his office. Somehow deep down inside, I knew he was wondering how one man was going to do all that. As a lone archer against the multitudes, I shot my arrow. As David against Goliath, I cast my stone. My stone was my pen, and I fired until they could take no more fire. Then they arrested me. They had earlier on released the semblance of the Constitution of Hell that they called the Green Book. So I took the fight to yet another fiery level. I released what was going to send them to the labyrinths of embarrassing opposition. I released the Red Book. This Red Book spoke what John Mahama's Green Book did not, and negated the lies that it contained. It exposed them as the most vexatious and untruthful lot in the history of our dear nation. Hassan Tampuli also fought for me. He fought out with his whole being. He fought for the dignity of the MPP. Hobson Aloye threw a tantrum that shook their foundation. He roared that roar of the African lion. Then I was released. In the book, you will also know who else fought for my release. So read it. Fast forward, folks. We are gathered here this evening as a fraternity in power. So let us remain in power. However, I admonish our leaders to acknowledge that the job they ground. The job about giving jobs should satisfy the grievance about jobs that the hopeful job seeker seeks to be dealt with so that they can get jobs. You would notice that I have repeated the word jobs severally in one sentence. And that is to emphasize how important this particular challenge is. Inasmuch as this is a pressing issue, we must be patient, like many of us are. As I'm standing here now, believe you me, not everything that glitters is gold. I will hold it here, for a word to the wise is oft enough. I also want to advise our youth that they should remain in their respective localities to contribute their quota to their respective communities that have raised them so beautifully. In this regard, we are sharing ideas with government. The President, Chief of Staff, ministers, and others are coming up with solutions soonest. But lazy directors and persons in positions of authority, although, albeit there are a few, must desist from their clownish attitudes. Recently, for example, there was a hullabaloo about issues at DVLA that were rectified by the government that listens to the plight of the nation, the government of His Excellency, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Then another one came out with the most absurd regulation that local names would not be registered. You see, brothers and sisters, you should know that if a people find their heritage embarrassing, then the foreign lands that they seek to go to will also find them embarrassing. They'll find them embarrassing visitors and personae non grata. After all, who would want to associate with people who abhor their heritage? It is only by upholding our heritage that we can be respected as a serious people worth our salt.